Hey Lucas Nation fans and K.L.P Worldwide fans, welcome back to the YouTube channel of K.L.P Entertainment. This is the Lucas Review with your host Kennedy Lucas. So welcome back you guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel of K.L.P Entertainment. Of course, this is the Lucas Review. As I mentioned, of course, we're here to talk about a certain movie, and by the thumbnail and by the title of the video, we all know that Kennedy was going to be reviewing this movie because I've seen it, and of course I put it all over Twitter and on my Instagram, so we all know I was going to be talking about this movie. This movie is such a good one, and this movie I'm talking about is the hit movie from Netflix, Birdbox. So this movie is very interesting. It's when a mysterious force, and I'm just reading the teleprompter there so I can make sure I formulate, because when I really get into my movies, I tend to ramble a lot, so I just try to make sure I stay to the script, of course. So it's when a mysterious force is decimated population in California. Of course, the only thing is certain that it's a must-see movie for sure. Sandra Bullock stars in this woman by the name of Melanie. Now, she ended up getting at the beginning of the movie, she was pregnant by her ex-husband. Of course, her husband is leaving her, and you know, a little love falling out there, and then she goes with what looks like her roommate at the time. She's just, you know, painting, she's doing her own thing, she's just minding her business while being pregnant. What was funny about it, the very beginning of the movie, I didn't think Sandra Bullock, Mallory, didn't think that she was pregnant because I didn't really see it the first scene, but then when she was at the hospital, she showed her stomach, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, she's pregnant. So of course, she's pregnant and she's going to the hospital. She's getting her sounds right, making sure, you know, the baby's healthy. And as she's leaving, people are going crazy. Now this happens because in Russia, there's something going on in Russia that make people want to kill themselves, commit suicide. It's kind of like a virus disease that's happening in Russia, and somehow it's able to come its way here into the U.S. So as it spreads in the U.S., of course, Sandra Bullock is leaving the hospital, and people are starting to get crazy. This movie, seeing that scene was just like, I was watching it in my house. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is this movie I'm watching? So. So as Sandra Bullock's leaving the hospital, people are getting crazy. There's this woman who's beating her head against the window in the hospital. She's bleeding and she looked crazy. Her eyes look crazy. So Sandra Bullock hurries to her roommate's car. They're trying to leave. Sandra Bullock's like, hey, we need to go. We need to get out of here. People are crazy. So again, it's a disease that people shouldn't look at. Hence the whole blindfold, which I'll get to in a minute. The hints that they keep their eyes covered because it's a disease. If they look at it, they turn crazy, and they tend to see things that they would normally like, but you know, it turns them crazy. It turns them to commit suicide. So the sister sees something, and she's like, "What is that? I can't see." And they're driving. Sandra Bullock's like, "What are you saying?" So she ended up driving crazy. Of course, crashes the car and commits suicide. The roommate is dead, commits suicide. And Sandra Bullock's going around, she's pregnant, people are running, it's like an apocalypse is going on. So she's running, she's falling over, people trampling over her while she's pregnant, and then she was able to escape into a house with a whole bunch of other actors and other characters that were rolled in there, of course. And then, you know, it was just, you know, it was sink or swim at that point of the movie. Of course, people don't know what's going on, but you shouldn't look at whatever's going on out there. You shouldn't see it. So she ended up with this movie. It kind of, there's one thing I like about movies, they kind of go from point to point. They go back and forth between scenes. So of course it flash forwards to her children, and I'll get to the children in a minute. It goes forward to the two children and her on a boat trying to get to that promised land. I'll get to promised land in a second. I'll explain everything on today's show. She's trying to go to a promised land. She's trying to escape. There's this crazy guy that tries to trick him just to see. At this time, like they have blindfolds covering their eyes because they can't see. They don't know what's out there. You know, if you look at it, your eyes turn crazy, and you tend to not focus, and then you commit suicide. It's that disease. So again, she's trying to survive with her children. Flashback to the apocalypse of her being pregnant, of course. They're trying to survive. They're eating off. There's a scene in the movie where they're they have to leave the house for a split second because they're running out of food. There's this guy, the black guy. I forgot his name in the movie, but there's the black guy that works in the grocery store. He was funny because he reminded me of, I don't know if it was the same actor. It looked like him, but I'm not really too sure right now. It looked like that was the black actor friend from the movie Get Out. So that's why I laugh, because like you look like that actor from Get Out, the best friend, you know. So he works at the grocery store in the movie Bird Box, and of course they have to escape to that grocery store to get some food. Of course, there's another worker that works with him that tries to trick him to come into a cellar. That guy's crazy, and the friend survives and rushes through the cellar with the co-worker just to save the others to get food. Real trooper there. Would I have done it? Probably not, but a real trooper there. He didn't want the other people to die, so you know he chose the fate there. Of course, going forward to the movie, of course, there's another pregnant woman that is pregnant by the name of Olivia. I don't really know. I forgot her actual name, but in the movie, her name was Olivia. They didn't want to let her in at first because they thought she had turned crazy and when it was one of them. Turns out she's not. She's pregnant. She was just hungry, you know. She's pregnant, and then as they're surviving, this scene was very interesting because they had also let another guy in. Olivia had let this guy in. I think he was the foreign guy. Again, I don't remember his name in the movie because I don't have, you know. But this other guy comes in the movie, right? And you know, he comes into the house. He's trying to survive too. He was here overseas for a business conference. Turns out, when I was watching this movie at this point, I knew the guy turned. I knew he was crazy. I was like, don't let him in because he looked crazy. So they didn't want to listen to their hearts. They believed him. They said, okay, you're fine. You can stay. Turns out he turns crazy. He opens up the windows, takes down the barricade, let the sunshine in, so the apocalypse disease, can get inside the house to turn everyone crazy. At this time, Mallory and Olivia was having their babies. Of course, they both was pregnant, and they're having their babies. So they're trying to give birth while the guy that is downstairs turning crazy tries to hurt Tom. Now, Tom is another guy. He's the main black guy who likes and falls in love with Mallory, Sandra Bullock's character in the movie, of course. And I'll get to him in a minute because he was a real hero in this movie. So, you know, he's beating them up while they're upstairs giving birth to their babies. A real cluster scene right there. It was very interesting, but real cluster scene. Of course, if the guy is going upstairs, they're done giving birth, and they have their baby. And as the guy comes upstairs, they was like, okay, yeah, we'll let you see the baby. And he opens the window. It's like, hey, you need to see this. It's so beautiful. So it's getting, you know, bright in there, and they're covering their eyes because, again, they can't see the disease, because if they look at it, they turn crazy. So this guy is going around trying to shoot everyone. He kills an old woman. There's an old woman that's in the scene too. She dies. Olivia sees the promised land. It's not really promised land. It's like committing suicide. She sees that Sandra Bullock quickly gets her baby, and she falls out the window and she dies. So again, Sandra Bullock and with the two kids are under the covers. They're hiding, and of course there was gunshot. It was Tom. He survived the fight with the guy. He shot the guy, and it's like, hey, we need to get up out of here. So as they're escaping a little bit later into the movie, of course, they get a radio signal from one of the guys that's there at the promised land, and they say, hey, you can come over here. It's safe over here. Here's the promised land. You need to come over. So they ended up going over, Sandra Bullock and the two kids, because they were at a house. They were getting ready to go until these people came that was from the apocalypse disease. They were trying to turn other people to join their apocalypse disease kind of thing. So they're going around. Of course, Tom becomes a real trooper. There's a little love scene between Tom and Mallory, Sandra Bullock's character, in the movie as well. I really do like that interracial couple. Again, I really do like the mixed relationship there. Black and white, or Chinese and black, and white and Chinese. I really like the interracial relationships. I think they're beautiful. So it's just very nice to see that in the movie, and they have their little love affair, the little sex scene, you know. So it turns out Tom dies. Tom dies in this movie. Of course, he's trying to save Mallory to get them to escape to a boat to go to the promised land. And he's a real trooper. He stayed behind and shot the people. And again, it's bright outside. He took the blindfold off. He's seeing the light. He's seeing the apocalypse. He's seeing the disease. He turns crazy and commits suicide. So again, as they're going through the movie, of course, there's a scene where the kids, they going off the boat, and they're just kind of, there's a couple scenes where they're hearing things, and they can't take the blindfold off, because if they do, they're gonna go turn crazy and they're gonna kill themselves as well. So Sandra Bullock was a real survival character in this movie. At the end of the movie, they reached to the promised land. Of course, it was a facility building for the for the blind. So they were blind people. Of course, it didn't affect them because they were blind, so they couldn't really see what was going on. They couldn't see the things that were happening with these people because they're blind. They once they're blind, they don't see it, so they didn't get affected with the disease. So it was a real good movie to see. I recommend people to go out and see this movie simply because it's such a good movie. There's been memes all over the internet about this movie, and before I saw this movie, we had already saw memes on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and I'm like, is this movie really that good? And then after me seeing the movie, I was like, okay, I see why they did this meme, I see why they did this meme. There is what's called a blindfold challenge. I gotta take a look at this. I probably would never do this because Netflix did warn people out there in the world to not do this blindfold challenge, because the blindfold challenge has been viral now and everyone knows about it. I need to check it out and see what it is, see what this is. I probably would never do. I think that's kind of dangerous because you can hurt yourself, and when you hurt yourself, then legal actions are taken for the director or Netflix or even the movie itself. So I would encourage people to do it. I don't know what it is. I'm going to take a look at it back in my office today and see what it is, and probably talk about it, do a reaction video or something on it. But I wouldn't. People are getting crazy with these memes and these viral challenges now. If you can remember back in the summer, the Kiki challenge, which I actually did do that because funny story, when I did the Kiki challenge, I was in the driver's seat. My car was just like zipping through, and my friend Connor, the car was moving so fast, like, yep, I'm not doing this while the car's moving. So I would encourage people to do the blindfold challenge. I gotta take a look at it. Netflix is warning people right now, so I just probably wouldn't do it. So that's gonna be it for the Lucas review over Birdbox. Please guys, go out and see the movie. Of course, it's out on Netflix. If you have an Netflix account, you have to see this movie because it's such a good movie. A good sci-fi thriller, something different to see out there on Netflix. So I really do recommend it. Stay tuned for this weekend, y'all. If you haven't seen it yet, go see The Late Show with K.L.P. And of course, later on this weekend is going to be K.L.P in the morning. And of course, more videos coming out this weekend as well. So hopefully you guys are having a grand, swanky weekend. Hopefully you guys are opening up your 2019 with good spirits. Of course, this has been the Lucas Review with your host, Kennedy Lucas K.L.P.